Hey guys, okay, so we've got 10.4 honors, 8.4 math 7. We're going to solve problems using angle relationships. Now I've got a lot of definitions written down here and you're going to want to make sure you write each one down. So if you need to, pause this and actually look at this pretty closely. Our essential question today is, how are angles formed by intersecting lines related? Okay, it says vocab, vertical angles. Now I gave you an example for each one over on the right hand side. So vertical angles are opposite angles and they're always going to be equal. So see how A and B are opposite of each other. These are the intersecting lines, and A and B would both be like 60 degrees, for example. They would be equal to each other. Adjacent angles are angles that share the same ray. A ray is a straight line that goes in either direction infinitely. So they share the same ray. They are next to one another and equal to 180 degrees. In other words, here's that ray going through. Here's A and B. They're next to each other, and this would actually equal 180 degrees. Okay? So in other words, they are supplementary, and we'll get to that in a second. Complementary angles are two or more angles that equal 90 degrees. In other words, together, they would be 90 degrees. See how it's a right angle? If I split that down the middle, that's two angles that are 45 degrees. They are complementary to each other. They're complementary angles. And these are in alphabetical order, by the way, guys. Complementary is 90 degrees, supplementary 180 degrees. Okay? And that's what this is. Supplementary angles, two or more angles that are equal to 180 degrees. So you can see this right here, 180 degrees. Okay? One of them is 120, one of them 60. They form a straight line. The two angles form 180 degrees, okay? So let's look at these problems that we have here. All right, so the first one we're gonna look at is example 3. Now you're gonna have one very similar to this in the Excels, so you wanna make sure you pay special attention to this. And the main thing here is, when we do this, we wanna break it down, okay? So what I did was, first I put that angle 1 was going to be W, because I knew we were going to have to put these into equations. Angle 2 is X, angle 3 is Y, angle 4 is Z. So let's look at this real carefully. The first line says, angle 1 is 4 times angle 2. Now since angle 2 is X, that means I'm actually going to erase W for angle 1, and I'm going to put that angle 1 is 4x, okay? Because they said it's 4 times larger. Angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary. So let's just work from that. So right now we're at this point. So angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary. In other words, we get 4x plus x, that's angle 1 and angle 2, equals 90 degrees. Because when something's complementary, it equals 90 degrees. 4x plus x is 5x. This would equal 90 degrees, okay? So that means we would divide by 5, and x would equal, let's see what we got here in my notes, 18 degrees. Should know that off the top of my head, but I couldn't think of it. So in other words, angle 2 is going to be 18 degrees. In fact, let me write that up there in a different color so you guys can see it. So we just figured out that this is, I don't know if this will help or not, 18 degrees. Now this is 4x, so we would multiply 18 by 4. That's why I switched that, okay? And 18 by 4 is 72 degrees. So that's what we have so far. I found out angle 1 and 2 without even reading the whole thing. Now it says right here, angle 1 and 3 are vertical angles. Now if you remember from the definitions, and this is why I put those out there so you guys could refer back to them, if they are vertical angles, they are opposite of each other, and that means they would be equal. That means that angle 1 and angle 3 are going to be equal, so they're both 72 degrees. We just figured out angle 3. Okay? And then it says angle 3 and angle 4 are supplementary. Okay, now I'm going to erase this, so hopefully you got it. If not, rewind it and write it down. So angle 3 and angle 4 are supplementary. That means that we would have 180 is supplementary minus the 72, and that's going to give me 108 degrees. And that is what angle 4 is, 108 degrees. Okay, guys? So the whole point is to break each one down, refer back to those definitions that I gave you so that you can actually work it out. Okay, guys? And also, of course, ask me. So let's go to the next one. Okay, I've got another one for you. Now this one's going to be a little bit more complicated, okay? So I want you to watch carefully. Okay, so this is Excel number 7, okay? And you can see it's A, B, C, D, okay? Now they tell us in this that the measure of angle ABD is 0 and 12 hundredths multiplied by X plus 67 degrees. And the measure of, so we're talking right here, ABD, right? And then the measure of CBD is 0 and 13 hundredths multiplied by X plus 35 degrees. And they said, find the value of X. Now, here's the deal, guys. We have to understand that we just heard that when it's like this, these two would be supplementary angles. Supplementary angles mean they equal 180 degrees. So in other words, I would go like this. 0 and 12 hundredths X plus 67, right? Plus 0 and 13 hundredths X plus 35 equals 180 degrees. This is what's going to help us solve this, knowing that what supplementary means, okay? And that those are, and being able to identify supplementary angles. So in other words, I'm going to rewrite this without any parentheses on it. And then I'm going to separate the terms. Remember, terms are separated by plus and minus signs. This lets me know that I can add these two together and I can combine these two, okay? So I combine like terms, all right? So this means that this is 0 and 25 hundredths X, okay? Plus 102 equals 180 degrees. Then I separate these terms and I'll go through and subtract 102, subtract 102. Okay, this is gone. 0 and 25 hundredths X is all that's left, equals 78. Okay? Now what I do is I still isolate X, so I'm going to divide by 0 and 25 hundredths. That means I have to divide this by 0 and 25 hundredths. And that would mean that X would equal, can you see that? Yes, you can. Good. 312. And there's your answer. Okay, guys. So not the easiest lesson. Remember, for Math 7, this is your last unit. So we got to start stretching towards those 8th grade standards, all right? So it's not supposed to be easy. And that's why you need to ask me questions. Make sure you watch and take notes on this real well. All right, guys. Good luck.